Good afternoon, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. The Woodland Cree First Nation in Alberta is protesting against Obsidian Energy this week after the First Nation rejected the company's request to expand its drilling operations in its traditional territory.
I'm going to file this with the Great Spirit right now.
A brief meeting between Obsidian and Woodland Cree leadership shows Obsidian handing a court injunction to the Woodland Cree, ordering them to cease blocking access to one of the roads. Woodland Cree First Nation Chief Isaac Labicon Avron is seen taking the injunction and putting it in a nearby fire pit. The chief says Obsidian staff have been acting without integrity in their territory, and they want the company to come to the negotiating table. Concerns in protecting the land escalated when a series of earthquakes rocked the Peace River region in November of 2022. Obsidian has disputed it was responsible for those quakes.
There's rules to be followed and respectful engagements that needs to be done. There's been a ton of impacts in our territory and the lack of accountability. They're proposing to us, it's basically a mega build, and we're not just gonna have it come in without proper consultations and accommodations.
In a statement to APTN News, Obsidian Energy says, quote, "While Woodland Cree senior leadership rejected our most recent proposed economic relationship agreement, we are open to meeting with them to further discuss the potential for an agreement." To Ottawa now, where the Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations is calling a Hill Times article incorrect. Gary Anandasangari says it's not true, as reported, that the federal cabinet decided the fate of Bill C-53 on Tuesday, and that three options had been presented to cabinet, including withdrawing the legislation. The controversial bill recognizes the Métis Nation of Ontario, Métis Nation Saskatchewan, and Métis Nation Alberta as having self-governing rights. Last month, the MNS pulled its support of C-53, while the Chiefs of Ontario and others want it scrapped completely. Anandasangari told APTN News that the content of the Hills Times article was absolutely incorrect, but cited cabinet confidentiality when asked if C-53 had been discussed at all.
We're well past the time where the federal government makes decisions unilaterally. What we have with C-53 is a collaborative effort between the three Métis Nations. We will continue to have discussions with them, and any decisions on the future of C-53 will be in collaboration with the Métis.
Still in Ottawa, the federal Northern Affairs Minister says it remains to be determined whether all of the Nutrition North subsidy is going to consumers. On an upcoming episode of Nation to Nation, Dan Vandell says his government is committed to reviewing the program. This year's budget for Nutrition North is $144 million. The money goes to grocery retailers who are supposed to pass it on to shoppers through lower prices. These prices are much higher in the North, but a 2023 study says only 67 cents on the dollar is being passed along. Minister Vandell says Nutrition North is a complex program.
I think there's room for improvement. What exactly the pass-through rate is, it's to be determined, but there's room for improvement. But having said that, having spoken to at least four researchers, they all say that Nutrition North is a good program. They're doing some good.
To see Minister Vandell's entire interview, you can watch Nation to Nation tonight at 6:30 Eastern Time following the national news. The finalists for the $1 million season of Canada's Got Talent have been announced, and an Indigenous singer from Saskatchewan has made the cut. Following her emotional performance of Olivia Rodrigo's song Driver's License, Rebecca Strong of Prince Albert is moving on to the finale of Canada's Got Talent. Rebecca is one of 8 finalists moving on to the live finale on May 14th. Viewers will have the chance to vote for who they think deserves to win the $1 million cash prize when it goes to air on City TV on the 14th of May. After 25 years, Manitoba's First Nations Education Resource Centre is still finding ways to innovate learning. They debuted a land-based education program at their annual conference in Winnipeg. But instead of going out on the land, students will log into their laptops. Sav Jonesa tells us more.
It's been 25 years since the creation of Manitoba First Nations Education Resource Centre, or MFNERC. The organization provides educational services and support to 58 First Nations schools in the province. This week, they celebrated the milestone at their annual Lighting the Fire conference in Winnipeg for First Nations educators.
You know what, it's really a testament to the great work that a lot of our people have done over the past 25 years and more in education, in First Nation education.
Charles Cochran, the executive director for MFNERC, says a lot has changed since the organization's inception, except for its principles.
In the past, when the organization first started, it was primarily to look at support services, which is really our bread and butter today. But also things have changed. Obviously, times have changed, technology, but still looking at our foundations on our languages and cultures and traditions or values. So there's things that have changed, things that are still there.
As Cochran points out, technology is a big part of children's learning in the 21st century. And MFNERC is staying innovative in how they adapt to students' interests, like land-based education through a popular computer game.
For me, it had Minecraft written all over it. I was like, this is an opportunity.
Carl Hildebrand is an education technology facilitator for Manitoba First Nations school system. It was his idea to turn Pemachewin, a key, a boreal forest and UNESCO World Heritage Site that covers part of Manitoba and Ontario, into a Minecraft map. It's an answer to concerns raised by teachers in Bloodvein River First Nation who collaborated on the project with developer Logix Academy.
Their teachers and their educators were having issues getting out on the land, and a lot of them aren't knowledgeable. They're not elders from the community. They're not knowledge keepers. So, you know, they're scared to go out because they don't really know what to do, what to experience with the kids, right?
Students and teachers alike will learn how to trap rabbits and hunt moose with the game. And ongoing updates will bring new skills for players to harness. He mentions that though an Indigenous Minecraft map was developed by the Louis Riel School Division in Winnipeg a few years ago, this is something new.
We kind of took inspiration from that because that was a flagship map and the first of its kind. But this is a first time that First Nation community is really taking control over their own learning. They're developing this map to solve a problem in their community.
Kisikuinen educational assistant Evan Blackbird says it's fun.
It's good. I like that they have where you can talk to the elders and stuff in the game. Yeah, and then they give you their pointers that you need in that.
The elders Blackbird mentions are all actual elders in the Bloodvein River community who contributed their ideas to the project. The program will be available to students across Canada in September.
They learn quite a bit from video games, so like I feel like if they're playing, then they're going to be, and then there's stuff to learn in here. Maybe they even might go outside and do it. So.
Sav Jonesa, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Thanks, Sav. Pretty cool stuff. We'd like to hear what you think about that or anything else you see here. Here's how you can continue the conversation. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, you can go to our website. That's aptnnews.ca. You can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. The Arctic Inspiration Prize has been handed out. Details on that and a look at this week's episode of APTN Investigates are coming up after the break. Welcome back. Despite being the least populated place in Canada, the North isn't short of innovators with big ambitions to help their communities. 10 teams from across the North got a significant financial boost thanks to Canada's biggest prize organization. Our Whitehorse reporter Sarah Connors was there.
On Tuesday evening, around 200 people from across northern Canada gathered in Whitehorse to celebrate the 12th annual Arctic Inspiration Prize. The annual prize is the largest in Canada. It recognizes diverse teams from across the North with innovative projects in things like education, health and well-being, and culture. Each year, it awards a $1 million prize, up to 4 prizes of up to $500,000 each, and up to 7 youth prizes of up to $100,000 each.
And the $1 million winner of the 2024 Arctic Inspiration Prize is Inutsiavik Center!
This year's $1 million prize winner is the Inutsiavik Center. The team plans to open a not-for-profit cultural center in Hopedale, Labrador. The project aims to revitalize the Inuktitut language and culture by providing accessible education and programming to the Inuit.
It's incredible. We're all absolutely speechless, and we are very grateful. The 1 million isn't for us, it's for Nunatsiavut. It's for all Nunatsiavut as a whole, and as the team members of Inutsiavik, we want to sponsor and promote all of us together, Ilunata, all of us together as Inuit.
And the third winner is Hebron and Newtok Reunions team.
Other teams like Hebron and Newtok Reunions took home smaller prizes, though the money is still substantial. The Inuit communities of Hebron and Newtok and Labrador were evicted in the 1950s by the provincial government. The team will use its prize of close to $300,000 to help able-bodied elders temporarily travel back to their homeland in July.
We're doing this for the able-bodied ones, and everyone is going to have a chance to be honored and acknowledged while we're there.
4 teams were also awarded prizes in the youth category, including Youth Coalition for Food Security North. Its $100,000 prize will go towards connecting youth with food initiatives across northern Canada.
This is a project of love and passion, and for need for youth to be leaders in their communities.
The prize is funded by the Arctic Inspiration Prize Charitable Trust, which is made up of Indigenous organizations, governments, industry, and other partners. This year, more than $3.2 million was awarded to 10 teams from across the North. Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
Congrats to all the winners. An exhibition featuring works from First Nations artists who specialize in natural dyeing techniques has opened in Sydney. It's the first major exhibition in the brand new $44 million expansion of the Powerhouse Museum.
Ancient practices showcased in a contemporary space, works and materials transformed by natural dyes in an exhibit titled Alchemy.
We just went with a great concept and just wanting to highlight the botanical knowledges of Indigenous artists nationally.
Created by female-led First Nations collectives, communities and artists from around the country, each with their own techniques.
I started making last year as soon as I found out that the exhibition was happening, and it was all about dyeing with the eucalyptus, which is what I love to do and what for me gives the best colours. And it's just looking at every piece of art here today, it's just amazing.
The exhibition is the first to be staged at Powerhouse Castle Hill and opened over the weekend to thousands of visitors.
It's an honour to know that so many people have gone through and engaged with those artists' work. That's what it's all about. I want to promote the practice and how precious that practice is and how amazing it is that it's still going, and the history and the future of that practice.
Just touches your heart, hey, touches your heart. I'm going to cry. Yeah, it was just really lovely because how everybody was here participating and appreciating everything, and being able to meet the other artists as well, bringing my family here to have a look and really enjoy it with me.
An opportunity for the public to engage with a practice thousands of years old.
I wanted it to be an exhibition where a little kid could go in and sit down and understand the content very easily and kind of get a taste of what it feels like. And so I hope that kids and adults can kind of get the tactility of this kind of practice.
Alchemy is open to the public at Powerhouse Castle Hill every weekend for the next 3 months. Ricky Kirby, NITV News.
And thanks to our relatives at NITV for that story. The Manwin Hotel on Winnipeg's Main Street Strip has become a hub for drugs and violence in the city. But with a lack of housing, it's also become a last resort for the city's vulnerable population. Tomorrow night, on an all-new episode of APTN Investigates, video journalist Tamara Pimentel takes us behind the doors of the Manwin and speaks with those most affected. Here's a preview.
Barb and Vivian Ketchum, who often joins her on these walks, take us inside to see if there's been any improvements.
Still the same condition when you said they were fixing it?
This is one of the communal bathrooms?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. That other one, that other bathroom, we were in there.
There's no tap here.
This isn't a typical hotel. There isn't a front desk with staff to welcome you. And most of the washrooms are shared. So we have a shower here without any sort of privacy.
When we came there was a girl in there, and then the guy just walked in. There's no doors or nothing.
There's no tap here either. The hot water tap is missing. This is missing right over here.
Around almost every corner is drug use. Windows are missing. And baseboard heaters are broken.
There is no heat here at all. Look at this. No heat at all.
So how are people staying warm if these base heaters aren't working?
Well, the last time we came, we asked one of the guys and they said they were bunched up in one room.
Okay, this
for
is
body heat. Yeah.
Somebody's needle. What's this?
You can catch APTN Investigates Beyond the Strip tomorrow night, immediately following the APTN National News at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. The Kainai First Nation, also known as the Blood Tribe, has been dealing with an opioid crisis for years now. APTN News has taken a look at the impact on the community and families there. We'll speak with the reporter after the break. Welcome back. Recently, our web reporter Danielle Paradis traveled down to the Kainai Nation in southern Alberta to find out more about the impact opioid deaths are having on the community and how people there are coping with the impact of it all. Danielle is joining us live now from Edmonton. Danielle, you visited Kainai Nation for this story. Why was this a story that you wanted to focus on?
As you mentioned before the break, the opioid epidemic has been going on not only in Kainai, across Canada, but Kainai has been speaking about it for about 9 years now. So we often get theyese numbers, and they're somewhat abstractions when it comes to understanding the loss with the opioid crisis. So this is a way to really bring out the personal impact and the way that people who have, names and faces and backgrounds and the lives that they're experiencing here. So to take it out of those numbers and the databases and put a real face on it.
All right. Well, some of those names and faces that you met with were grandparents Teresa McNabb and her husband Ricky Whiteman Left, who are raising their grandchildren. Tell us about them and how they're coping with it all.
Yeah, Ricky and Teresa have a child who came from the foster system, as well as they are raising their niece, who they refer to themselves as grandparents. And the niece's child passed away, the niece passed away due to opioids, and the child is with the grandparents. They have told me that they feel that they are quite lonely in this, that even though there is a lot of drug use or death in the community, they don't necessarily have a place to talk. So they've been talking to the Harm Reduction Center and hoping to be able to share their story because it makes them feel a little bit less alone. They do struggle. They say they're coping well. They're an amazing couple. They're very strong, but they're in a phase of life that they never thought that they would be in.
Right, no kidding. What is the community trying to do about this all?
I mentioned the Harm Reduction Center. So there's a house, it's actually pictured in the story, that will provide harm reduction materials like Noxalone. Dr. Esther Tailfeathers is on reserve providing safer supply or Suboxone, which is something that people who are with drug addictions can use to help get off of the opioids. Then there's also supposed to be a center going up in Kainai, although it has been delayed by the Alberta government for years now. So they're hoping for that. They do have treatment beds, but they need more. The scope of the issue is too large, and there's not enough resources right now. So the community is doing what they can with what they have, but they've been reaching out to Jordan's principal, trying to get more funding, and also trying to get funding for these grandparents who, are left with these huge expenses later in life.
Yeah. Dr. Esther Tailfeathers doing great work out there. Danielle, great work as well. Appreciate your work on it and speaking with us today.
Thank you, Dennis.
And you can go to aptnnews.ca to check out Danielle's story. And also, while you're on the website, you can check out our latest web poll questions, including one on the Trans Mountain Pipeline, which is now operational. The question is, should First Nations get involved in the fossil fuel industry or look for greener methods of energy? Some of those options include get involved in fossil fuel, look for greener methods, or not sure. Tomorrow we'll bring you the results of this week's web poll questions. That's all the time we have for your APTN National News this afternoon. We'll have more for you tonight right here at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. In the meantime, you can stay up to date with the latest by visiting our website, aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward. Marcy McGuitch, thanks for being with us. I'll see you back here in a couple hours from now. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.